I'm going to make right now jerk meatloaf. So the ingredients that I'm using the kind of vegan meat that you can find in the freezer section, like Beyond, Impossible, Emerge. All of those are over in the freezer section of the meat, or like in the refrigerator section where the meat is. So I'm making a quick meatloaf. I'm going to use some ground up mushrooms. This is portobello and baby button that I ground up. I'm going to use some onion, some tricolor peppers, some thyme, some paprika. I'm going to use some jerk seasoning, and I'm going to use some garlic. Whew. That jerk seasoning, you have to be careful. It can be a little spicy and get in your lungs. I'm going to also use some panko breadcrumbs. So mixing this all together. So I have a yummy meatloaf that I'm going to put in the air fryer, right? Super yummy. I'm going to make sure all your flavors get mixed thoroughly together, so you don't have some spots that don't have jerk or some that are too seasoned. And you see I'm using gloves because this tends to get in your nails, so go ahead and use gloves if you have it. Just mix it thoroughly together. I like to add veggies to my meatloaf because, hey, it's a good way to get veggies into your diet. But also, it just, to me it tastes better to have your veggie meats enhanced with mushrooms, with vegetables. So this looks like, still sniffing a little bit from that jerk seasoning, but this looks like it's pretty well incorporated together. I'm just doing an extra little knead to make sure that this is thoroughly integrated. Now I have a little piece of parchment paper here that I've already cut out. I'm going to take my meatloaf and I'm going to shape my meatloaf on my parchment paper. We're going to put a little glaze on this later. So this is a jerk meatloaf. It's going to be a little spicy with all kinds of yumminess inside. There we go. There we go. Shaped pretty good. You want to spend more time shaping it perfectly, that's okay. We're going to put this inside. I'm going to take my gloves off so I don't mess up my air fryer. Put this inside of my air fryer. So I'm going to pull out my air fryer pan and plop this right inside. And I put it a little bit at an angle just so that it can fit all the way in. I'm going to put it in. I'm going to choose bake. And the temperature that I'm going to put it on is 375. And I'm going to do that for 30 minutes. So it's preheating. Once it gets up to heat, then it will bake for 30 minutes. So my meatloaf has been cooking for about 16 minutes. And I'm going to make a little glaze that I'm going to put on top of it. This is agave, so I'm going to make a little sweet, salty, earthy glaze to put over my kind of spicy meatloaf, right? Because it's a jerk meatloaf. So that was agave, soy sauce. I have some shredded up mushrooms and a little cornstarch. And this cornstarch is going to make it thick. So we have the sweet, the salty, the earthy, and the mushrooms. The cornstarch is just going to make it so that it's nice and thick. And so that makes it like a glaze. Mix that all together. And that's going to make a yummy, I want yummy glaze there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out my meatloaf. It looks amazing. It looks really, really great. And I'm going to just touch it a little bit. See how it's not pushing in? It's nice and firm. That means it's pretty much ready to go. Now we're just going to glaze it so it tastes amazing. On top, so we have a little crusty, salty, sweetie glaze to go on top of this yummy meatloaf. There we go. Our glaze is on top. We're going to pop that back into the air fryer for the remainder of the time. And that's going to be 13 more minutes.
Okay, out of the oven it comes. And I want you to watch this part because it's kind of funny. It looks really good. Yummy, tasty. Wait for it. Wait for it. And there, I broke it. So it broke, but we put it back together. It still was a very yummy jerk meatloaf.
Okay, so I broke it a little bit, but it's amazing. Look at it. That's a beautiful meatloaf. Has this glaze on it. I added a little bit of glaze after the fact, so it just looked a little shiny. But really, the glaze is just in there. It's amazing. It tastes so good. So there you go. It's a meatloaf. It's okay if you break it a little bit. It happens.